Hi Otters and welcome back to another guided reading lesson. Today's text is called Oliver and the Seawigs. It's not too long, so if you haven't already done so, please can you pause me here whilst you go and read the extract from the text. I think it's up to page, let me just check my notes. Page 6. Okay, and that sounds like quite a lot, but actually they're not full pages of writing, so it shouldn't take you too long. Pause me whilst you do this and then press play when you're ready to move on. Okay then, so let's start off with our quick start questions. We've got quite a few today, but actually they're all very short retrieval questions. So pause me whilst you have a go at these 6 and then press play when you're ready to go through the answers. Okay then, so you should have answered all of them by now. Question 1 says, how old is Oliver? And Oliver is 10, so give yourself a tick if you got 10. Question 2, why was his life exciting? Well, it says that his life was busy and exciting because his mother and father were explorers. Question 3. Where did his parents meet? Well, they had met on the top of Mount Everest. Question 4. Why did they decide to go home? The answer to this question is on page 4. No, apologies, on page 3. And it's because there was nothing left to explore. Question 5. How did Oliver feel when they decided to go home? This is on page 4. It says, Oliver wasn't sad though. He was excited. He was tired of living the explorer's life. So if you said Oliver was excited or felt excited, you'd get the mark. And question 6, why was Oliver excited to start school? Well, he was excited to start school because he'd never been to school. And you might have also said how maybe he wanted to make friends. I'd give you the mark for that. But I was looking for Oliver had never been to school. Quick vocab check. Quite a lot of vocab in here that you may or may not have heard of. If you've read lots of explorer or adventure stories, you might know these. Okay then, so I actually did have to check some of these today just to check I was explaining them correctly. So an off-road baby buggy. Off-road is exactly as it says. Okay, it's a vehicle or an object that is not on the road. It's normally designed to go through some rougher terrain, perhaps like hilly areas and maybe woodland and things like that. They had trekked. Now, trekked is a verb, and that is to travel like on a journey, usually by foot. So not in a vehicle, normally walking somewhere. The summits of all of the unconquered mountains. Now, this is a lovely phrase that I would love to magpie in our writing one day. Now, summits are the highest point of a mountain or a hill. And I'm assuming that unconquered mountains means that nobody before them has ever been up there to conquer the mountain. They're the first ones to do it. Aboard their Explorer mobile, now this is a vehicle. Now I did Google just to check it's not a real vehicle, but I don't think it is. I'm imagining some form of quad bike or a bit like a snowmobile, but for rugged and different terrain than just snow. It says before fresh expeditions, and again, expedition is a journey or an adventure. Okay, so it's a long journey which you have to plan for, and you're normally traveling somewhere remote, somewhere without very many buildings and things like that. He perched between his parents. So it's normally, you imagine a bird perching and it's sort of sitting, maybe somewhere a bit higher or like on a narrower seat than normal. And then the last one, they came over a sudden headland, and I did have to check this one. And it's basically a tall piece of land, which is right almost like on a cliff edge overlooking the sea and things like that. Okay then, oh, have I gone past one? Oh no, I haven't. Okay then, so individual thinking. Explain how Oliver is different from other children. The sentence stem that I would use here is, Oliver is different from other children because. Pause me whilst you answer that question and press play when you're ready to move on. So you could have used a range of reasons for this, but something along the lines of that Oliver didn't go to school. He was always exploring lots of different countries. Maybe how he didn't have any friends and how he didn't really live in the house that he's got. He lived in lots of different places. One of those reasons would probably suffice. You might have said maybe how he's different from other children because he can't wait to go to school, whereas other children perhaps don't enjoy that. Next question. This is part of the talk. So it says, find some words or phrases on page 5 which tell you that the house is worn down. It tells you where to look for this answer. It tells you page 5, not page 4, not page 6, but page 5. You might want to have a read through of this page, okay, and just see what it says. You could probably underline the words or phrases. Now, phrases are a couple of words, generally without a verb, without a doing word is a phrase. Sorry. Okay then, apologies for that slight pause. I got interrupted by a child. So it says, find some words or phrases on page 5 which tell you that the house is worn down. So underline those words and phrases, pause me here, and then press play when you're ready to go through some answers. So you could have had a range of answers. So some you might have had, it's not a very pretty house. You maybe had how it's rather old and creaky, and how the wind blows right through it. Maybe the bit where it says it needs a lot of work doing. I personally didn't find anything other than that, but please send it in to me just in case you spotted something that I didn't. Next question. So it says, oh, we've got that italics again. So remember, if it's written in italics, it means it's copied straight from the text. And it says, that might not sound so good to you, but Oliver had never been to school. How does the author show they are thinking about how the audience will react through this line? How does the author show they are thinking about how the audience will react through this line? Pause me whilst you answer this and press play to move on. Now, I imagine you said something along the lines about how it says, that might not sound so good to you. So it's talking directly to the reader, to the audience, okay, and it's acknowledging that you might not like that idea. It doesn't sound very fun. Okay, so something along the lines of how it talks directly to the reader by saying it might not sound so good to you. Next question, again, we've got another quote from the text, and it says that there were no more blank spaces left on the map. What do you think the author means by this? My sentence stem might be, I think the author means, and then explain what they mean. So I think that the author means, and then carry on. Pause me whilst you answer this question and press play when you're ready to move on. So now I'd imagine that they mean something along the lines of that they've travelled to lots of different countries. They've travelled to every country in the world. So there are no blank spaces left on the map because they have been everywhere. Okay, they've visited everything. And last question. So it says, summarize Oliver's parents in one word. Then explain why you chose this word. Now, summarize means to sort of explain or sum up his parents, so describe his parents in one word. In theory, there's no right or wrong answer for this, but you do need to explain why you chose this word. I would argue that you're very unlikely to use a word such as evil, okay, because I've seen no evidence in the text that would suggest that they were evil. So the sentence then I would use would be, the word that I would use is blank because, and then explain your thoughts. Now, I'm not going to go through the answers for these because you could every single one of you could have a different word. Okay, so we won't go through them. Just see if your words are as ambitious and aspirational as they could be. Yes, you could say that his parents are nice, but is that the best word to summarize his parents? Is that the most exciting word? I'm not quite sure. So have a go at being ambitious with that word choice. That's it for me today, and I will see you back in a couple of days for some more guided reading. Bye.